Hi, I'm Emma.
And I am Xavier, and welcome to Season 2 of Curious Conversation, the podcast for kids by kids.
Season 1 was so much fun, and we learned a lot about podcasting, and we learned so much from our guests, too. We are so excited to continue interviewing people from all walks of life and hear their stories to learn about their passions.
Of course, we are still curious, and we're really excited where Season 2 takes us. And let's get started!
On today's episode, we welcome Laura McIntosh. She is a trailblazer in women's hockey and is currently the head coach of the PWHPA's Team Sonnet and owns her own hockey school, McIntosh Hockey.
This episode is perfect timing. We are just about to get back to playing hockey, and we are so excited to have a hockey guest on today's episode.
I mostly know Laura as a coach, and I'm excited to learn more about her as a person and a hockey player. Xavier, why don't you tell us a bit more about Laura?
Sure, Laura from Waterloo and has been playing hockey all her life. After minor hockey, she played at the university level and has represented Canada on the women's U18 team and the U22 teams. Today, Laura's focused on developing female hockey players. She does this through her hockey school as well as her coaching.
Hi, welcome. We're excited to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. I'm super pumped to be here, guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So, let's start at the beginning. When did you start playing hockey, and what team did you play for?
That's a great question. I think I started playing actually on ice hockey when I was about 6 years old. But before then, I had an older brother who's 3 years older than me. So I was a big mini sticks fan growing up. So I started mini sticks probably around 3 or 4 in the rinks, and then finally hit the ice when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I started actually playing boys hockey for Waterloo when I first started. So that's where I started. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was the Wolves at the time. I think it was like the Waterloo Winterhawks. But now, obviously it's the Waterloo Wolves.
Yeah, it's the Wolves at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I'm really aging myself here.
So what level did you start at, and did you make your way up to like AAA, AA?
Yeah, so started off obviously playing just like the learn to play and things like that. And then my first team that I made, house league. And then my first team that I made, I believe I had to have been like 8 or 9, and I started playing AAA boys until I was about, I think U13. And then at that time, unfortunately, in the area, there was no competitive female hockey. So Waterloo Ravens didn't exist. There was no Road Runners. I think Kitchener's highest level was double B. So at that point, my parents decided that it'd be best for me to move over to girls hockey, but to try and play at the top level. And so I grew up playing in Brampton for the Brampton Canadettes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of traveling for home games.
Oh, yeah. Home games, practices. I mean, when I was your age, I probably didn't realize it. But now looking back and thinking about how much time my parents spent on the 401 and getting to all those arenas in Mississauga and Brampton and stuff like that, definitely owe them a lot of thanks for that, for sure.
And they probably wouldn't play around in our area because of the different leagues.
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't come back to play Waterloo or any of that. So the first time I was allowed to, or actually played in town, was when I'd come back and play high school hockey. But other than that, there was I wouldn't play around here at all. I know. So it's pretty cool to see how far it's come in the last couple of years, especially as you guys know, with all the teams in the region, and boys hockey is growing, but then also girls hockey is getting a lot stronger and a lot more competitive in the area. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, it's good with there's all teams, all where the boys are, there's definitely a girls team.
Exactly.
Around.
Yeah, love to see that.
So what was it like to be in the boys hockey league?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was, at first I thought it was a little different, but at the same time, all of my close friends were guys when I was that age anyways. So it was all the guys I kind of grew up playing mini sticks with in the rinks and, in elementary school and stuff like that. A lot of my best friends were guys. So, there wasn't a huge difference or anything like that. The only difference was I was changing in a different dressing room and things like that. But when we hit the ice, it was always, I was just out there competing, whether it was against a guy or a girl or anything like that. So yeah, it was definitely at first probably a little bit different, but I don't think I even realized that I was a girl playing on a boys team. I was just going out there and playing hockey.
Did you like have to move in U13 because like the hitting would start in the U15? Is that why you guys moved?
Yeah, so that's pretty much my initial thought was, we're starting to hit. The boys are a little bit bigger, so I should probably move over to girls hockey. And so that's was my initial reason for changing over.
Do you think you like after the girls, like when you moved over to girls, do you think you had more of a boy style play?
I would say probably. I would say, yeah. I mean, back in the day, like girls hockey there wasn't as much contact, whereas now you look and there's a lot of contact in girls hockey, but at the time there wasn't as much. So I would say definitely at the time I played a little bit tougher. I think playing with the boys taught me that I had to go into the corners with my head up and things like that too. So yeah, definitely a different piece to that.
So, what position did you play in? Did you change positions?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually started off playing defense. So I was a defense when I played boys hockey, and then my first couple of years of girls hockey, I was a defense. And then, my coaches told me that I kept rushing the puck. So they said, you know what, let's try her out here on forward. And then, I played forward the rest of my career. So I think probably from when I was around 15, I moved to forward and then played forward for the rest of my career. So
that's basically me, but I don't go up as much anymore. But I did when I was a lot younger.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Yeah, cool.
I still go up, but not that much anymore.
Not that much. So did you ever play goalie, Xavier?
Once I had to, actually. It's a funny story. We didn't have a goalie, didn't show up, and no one wanted to play goalie, so I'm like, I guess I'll try, because I'm the only one who wanted to, or who wanted to try. So that's the only time I played goalie.
Yeah. Did you have to use Emma's gear? Did you use Emma's equipment when you went in net?
No, there was rental gear, and yeah, there was something else, like, a couple of years ago. It was like a 10-second thing. Our goalie, like, had something wrong with his pad. So, like, he had to leave the ice, and I, and they just put one of the defense out, and that happened to be me, and I, ran to the net for, 10 seconds. And then I ran back onto the bench. So that's...
Yeah, that's awesome. See, it probably helps that you watched Emma growing up and stuff like that, because you could learn some tips from her for sure.
Thankfully, I didn't get a shot on net, or that would have been a goal.
Exactly.
So you played hockey in university, and so how does it all work when you were what was the journey to get to the university level of hockey?
Yeah, so my journey to the university level was pretty much, growing up trying to play on the top teams so that I could get recognized by schools, whether they are in the States or schools in Canada, because that was my next goal. So as I was playing growing up through, grade 7, grade 8, and then through high school, my goals were, one, I wanted to try and make Team Ontario under 18 team. I wanted to try and make Team Canada, and I wanted to get a scholarship to go Division 1 to the States and play hockey. So those were my 3 goals. And so, I started off by playing at the top level in the area. So that was in the PWHL, which is the Provincial Women's Hockey League, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. So I played there, and from there I got chosen to be on the U18 Team Ontario and U18 Team Canada. And then from there, I was lucky enough to have a lot of offers from different schools and kind of have my pick to go where I wanted to go. And I chose Ohio State University, and, I had a great 4 years there. So the process was, trying to compete and play at the highest level, always making sure I kept my grades up so that, when I went to university, I would get accepted wherever I wanted to go. Just trying to be seen by universities and make sure that they knew that was one of my goals to reach that level.
What's the difference between the big step between playing U18 hockey and moving to university hockey? It's probably a big difference.
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference would be, the physicality of the game. So having to play tough, play against girls or other athletes that are really strong and also very competitive. And I think now what you see a big change from the U18 level to, university and then to pro is the speed of the game and how fast people are now, and making sure that you have enough speed to play at that level. So that's kind of, I would say, the biggest difference. And playing and competing against girls that were at the same level and that were pushing to get better every day. So yeah, it was a big step, but I think it was a step that I was ready for and that I was excited about, and I knew I had to keep working hard to be able to compete and play at that level.
So, did you ever win a championship in in your university?
No, I didn't. So I chose to go to the Ohio State because they were in the WCHA, which is the Western Conference. So we played against schools like University of Minnesota, University of Wisconsin, Minnesota Duluth, which are a lot of the top teams that have been around the NCAA for a long time. So, I went in obviously hoping for a championship, but I knew it would take a lot to have to get there. But it was a great 4 years, played against some of the best competition around, and unfortunately no championship, but was definitely a good 4 years and a lot of fun.
So you have your own hockey school, which I have obviously been many times. So tell us about that, and how and why did you start your hockey school?
Yeah, so I run a hockey school called L.McIntosh Hockey, which aims to grow and develop female hockey in the area, in the Waterloo region. And as you know, Emma, I've been on the ice with you plenty of times. But yeah, I pretty much started it up because I was just out of school and wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to do. I got a little bit into coaching where I coached at the U sport level, so I knew hockey was something that I wanted to be a part of. So I did a couple of team sessions and just loved being on the ice with all ages, all levels, and things like that. So I just, I think Waterloo region is a hotbed for hockey and women's hockey specifically. So I think just getting into this and doing something that I love really took off, and I've been really enjoying it.
So is the hockey thing your full-time job, or do you have another job?
Yeah, this is my full-time gig. So when I first started it, I was part-time assistant or associate coach. I was 3 years at Laurier and then 3 years at the University of Waterloo. So at that point, it was kind of part-time business and then part-time coaching. But now coaching with L.McIntosh Hockey is my full-time gig. So I run summer camps. I do skills stuff throughout the year. I do spring teams and pretty much anything that you can think of when it comes to hockey and female hockey in the area, I do. So yeah, it's my full-time gig, which I'm pretty lucky.
So recently you were named head coach of Team Sonnet, the PWHPA's Toronto team. So what is it like to be the head coach of Team Sonnet?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool because, I stopped playing probably about 3 years ago and wasn't really sure, do I want to coach at this level or can I succeed at this level? And I was actually on the golf course one day with one of my friends that is kind of in charge of the league, Jana Hefford, and I was talking to her about, should I keep playing or, do I want to get into coaching? And she said that, coaching would be something great to get in, and she thinks this would be a great platform and to be able to be around and coach the top female hockey players in the world, I think is definitely something to be excited about. And that's kind of why I got into it. I love working with these athletes because, they've gone through university, they're professionals. Some of them, play on Team Canada or Team USA. Some of them are tremendous athletes, but still have to work full time. So there's a different balance there. But I think, it's really fun to go to the rink and kind of know what you're getting with these professional athletes and to try and push them to get to an even better level.
So what is your favorite part of your job?
My favorite part of my job, I would say, being able to be on the ice with these kids and see how much fun they're having. I think that's, whether it's working with kids that are 6 years old and just becoming hockey players and seeing if they enjoy it, or it's working with professional athletes. I think just going to the rink, knowing that all these players are there because they want to be and are there to enjoy themselves and to watch them get better is probably the best thing about my job.
So yesterday when we were looking at your roster on the team, I saw that you were Coach Laura Fortino, and she actually signed my hat at Dream Gap. I remember that you were at Dream Gap. So What's the difference now? Because since Dream Gap, that was a few years ago, and the league now, what has changed?
Yeah, so that's funny you bring Fortino up. Yeah, she's one of our leaders on our team, and she's been with the national program for a while, been to the Olympics, so she's definitely one of our players that we really key in on. In terms of the difference, this year we actually lost a lot of our athletes because they're centralized for either Team Canada or Team USA. So the league looks a little bit differently, but obviously those athletes are still, with the PWHPA. So it kind of allowed for some room for some younger players just out of university. So, with the league from when you got your hat signed to where it is now, I think we've made big steps in finally, hopefully, having a professional women's league, which I think is very important for players that are your age that want to play professionally and to be able to have a goal of not having to have a full-time job and also train to be a professional athlete. So I think we're making strides in the right direction, and we're hoping to have something within the next year or two to have a professional league. So it's definitely the whole point of it was for that, and I think we're getting closer every year that we do the PWHPA.
So, what are some of your best hockey stories that you could tell us, either when you played, coached, or people you have met?
Ooh, that's a good one. As you guys know, like I've met a lot of my best friends from hockey. Um, but I would say my top hockey moment from playing, I would say actually was the year that I retired. So my last year, we won. Yeah, I know, crazy. So I wanted to go out big, and I played in the league that was called the CWHL, so the Canadian Women's Hockey League, and that's where we won a Clarkson Cup. So we won the whole league, and it was pretty cool. We got to bring the cup back so I brought the cup back to Waterloo. Spent some time with family with the cup, things like that. So that would have been my top hockey moment, but I think the things that hockey's given me growing up, so being able to, travel, like when I played for under 22 and under 18 Team Canada, we got to go to Germany and we got to go to Switzerland, and obviously getting a full scholarship to be able to go to the States and play D1 for 4 years. So I think just all of the experiences combined is a great thing. But I think I would have to say winning the Clarkson Cup to cap it all off would be my top hockey experience.
So what you did with the Clarkson Cup is kind of like what they do with the Stanley Cup. Which,
yeah, exactly.
Bring it home for a day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is, I didn't know it would work like that, but I remember them calling me being like, okay, Mac, it's your time to get the cup. And, what are you going to do? And things like that. So yeah, I had it in my car. We traveled with it, brought it around to some people that wanted to see it, and then, passed it on to the next player. So it actually, I think it was the last year of the Clarkson Cup too. So it was, we'll be one of the last teams on there. But yeah, it was a pretty cool experience.
So you mentioned that you traveled to Germany and Switzerland. So what was the best country you traveled to?
I would say I really enjoyed Switzerland. So my last year of under 22 when I was there, it was kind of a rough year for me because I got out there and I think it was in our game two of our prelims. So we weren't even in the actual tournament yet. But 2 games in, I had a slap shot from one of my buddy Watchhorn from the point. She took a slap shot and I was backdoor and she hit my ankle. So I actually didn't play the rest of the tournament, but I remember I was traveling around. We went to a couple castles in Switzerland and I was on crutches and stuff like that. So I got to see a lot of the country, and it was pretty cool to be there. Obviously not my best moment having to be on crutches and miss the tournament, but it was still a pretty fun place to be and fun place to travel around to see the castles and eat their chocolate and all that fun stuff.
So what is it like coaching young girls versus coaching professional players, like hockey players?
That's a good question. So it's obviously, as you guys would know, it's a big difference between the skill level of players that are just starting out to players that are just finishing their careers and playing professionally. So on Wednesdays, actually this year, my Wednesdays, I did at 5:30 in town. I'm on the ice with girls that are like 5 to 7 years old, and then I drive down the 401 to Mississauga, and then I coach the professional athletes. So it's really like the gap is extreme where I'm coaching these young kids that are just learning how to skate and learning, how heavy a puck is and things like that, to all of a sudden then an hour there and then an hour in with the professional athletes. Like that is the biggest gap you can have. So I think, it's really opened my eyes to why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm seeing these girls learning to love hockey and learning to skate and learning to shoot. And then I go to the top level. And I think it just shows that, that's why the PWHPA is doing what we're doing, is so that these athletes that are just learning how to play and growing up loving the game are going to have an eventual place to play professionally. So it's a big gap. And 5:30 I go out there, I want to make sure everyone has fun and everyone learns to skate, and then I go with the professional athletes, and then all of a sudden we're keying in on quick release, we're keying in on tactics, we're keying in on battles and competitive and earning your spot, earning your ice time, all those things. So it's a big gap, it's a big change, but it's something that I enjoy my Wednesday nights because they're so different.
Well, everyone starts in the same place. Like,
yeah, exactly.
U9.
Yeah, U9. Let's go out there. Let's have some fun. Let's rip around and chat in the dressing room. Exactly.
So, when is a time that you failed at something or didn't go quite your way, and what did you learn from it?
That's a good one. That's a good question. Something I failed at. I would say, at university, it was a tough transition from, having to balance your academics with your athletics and still be able to compete at the highest level. I think that was the biggest learning curve for me was, going to university where all of a sudden I'm away from home and I'm living with my friends, I'm living on campus and having to balance, being the best athlete that I can, working out, training, practicing every day, and also having to balance my school stuff. That was, I think, the biggest shocker to me when I got there. But to learn from it, I learned that I had a big support system around me. I could reach out if I needed help and things like that. But I'd say that was the biggest kind of eye opener for me in my hockey journey. And then, I think, as you guys would know, at the national team level, it's super tough to make those teams and to crack those rosters. So I was lucky enough to make the first U18 Worlds team. And then the following year, when I tried out for the under-22 team, my first year, I got released at the last camp. So that was obviously a tough thing for me to take as a young athlete. But I learned that, I had to get faster. I had to get stronger. I had to train harder and things like that. So I think just taking away from that camp and making sure I used that feedback that they gave me so that the next year I could go, and the following year for the next 2 years, I actually made that team. So it was a good eye opener for me. And then obviously I could have at that point been like, okay, I don't want to play anymore. I don't want to go to any more Team Canada camps. But I said, no, I want to be there. This is what I need to do. So that's something that I learned from for sure.
How do you think the game has changed since you have played in like what we play now?
Yeah, so I think as we talked about a little bit before, I think the speed of the game has really excelled. Like I think, the players that are playing both on the men's side and the female side, like you look at someone like a Connor McDavid, or you look at someone like a Rebecca Johnson or Victoria Bach, and the speed that they play at and the intensity that they play with is just something that we haven't really seen in a long time or ever. So I think just the speed of the game is something, exactly, on another level, and that power in their first three strides is something that I think has really changed, and it's just speeding the game up. So you have to think a little bit faster. You have to have a quicker release. For Emma, you got to get post to post a little bit quicker because it's coming there. So I think the speed of the game is something that's really changed. And then on the female side, I would say that the contact, the body contact is a little bit stronger now than it used to be, and refs are letting us play a little bit more, which is fun to see. So I think that's only going to help the women's game overall.
What other sports did you or are you playing, like either when you were growing up or like now?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I played every sport. So pretty much anything that my brother did, I did. So I played baseball, started playing baseball with boys, and I went over to softball. I played golf. I played badminton, I played soccer, like any sport, you name it, I probably played. So as I was growing up, I had to start to pick which sports I liked and things like that. So I chose softball and hockey were my two main sports. And with softball, I was actually lucky enough to make Team Ontario, where I went to the Canada Summer Games. Yeah, so it was pretty cool for me because I was kind of a dual sport athlete, and then eventually chose hockey. But those were my two biggest sports. And then now I would say my top sport is obviously hockey, but I also really enjoy golfing, and I'm starting to get a little bit more competitive with golf and seeing where that can take me as well. So those are my sports. How about you guys? What sports are you guys in?
I play a lot, but like as you said, it's just hard to choose.
Yeah.
I think my main sports would be field hockey and hockey.
Nice.
So I play field hockey. I play out in field hockey, so not a goalie.
Okay.
But I like doing really any sport, like whether it's school during gym class, I get really competitive. It's kind of funny to see.
Yeah, I bet.
So I play hockey and rock climbing. I got into this year.
Rock climbing, that's awesome. So you're not afraid of heights then?
I am afraid of heights, actually. It depends on where I am, but I can be afraid of heights.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, that's cool. Rock climbing is a pretty cool sport. I had never really got into that one, but that's awesome to hear. Cool.
So what is your favorite NHL team?
Ooh, favorite NHL team. That's funny you asked that because I was wearing their hat earlier, but I would say the Toronto Maple Leafs are my favorite NHL team. So
Yay!
I know why. So that's yours. Emma, what's your favorite team?
Habs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you like Carey Price. That's why. Look, I got a hat right here. I'll wear that for you next time, Emma.
Yes.
I'll wear that for you.
All right. So who or what inspires you and why?
I would say, my family inspires me. Like watching my athletes inspires me. It all inspires me because I know how much my family gave me to get me to the point that I'm at. So obviously I mean, I never want to disappoint them, and I know that I always have their support. So they always push me to get better and to try new things. And, with the business, they keep pushing me to add more things and do more stuff business wise as well. So I think that's awesome to have that push and that support. And then, the other thing that inspires me is just being on the ice with these athletes all the time and watching how much fun they have and how much they enjoy the game and the sport. So I think those are the two biggest things that inspire me is my family and then these young athletes that I'm able and happy to work with day in and day out.
So before we end, is there anything you would like to ask us?
Ooh, that's good. I like this. Okay, how about let's go with if you guys were on the ice together, Emma's in net, you get a breakaway on Emma. What move would you do?
Whatever one you do, you won't score.
That's actually not true. What I would probably try to do is shot off the pad, and then because I'm coming in from one side, shot off that pad, grab it, try and toe drag it around, stick handle, and leave it on the same side.
Nice.
So she moves to the post, and she doesn't have enough time to get back.
Yeah, I like that. Emma, would you poke check or what?
Yeah, I don't think I'd be going for the puck though.
I might just
just
run into her.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then what about, okay, I have one more question for you guys. We'll start off with, let's go with Emma. What is your next kind of hockey goal in life? Is it to make a certain team or what are your hockey goals?
I want to make the AA team in Cambridge right now. I'm new, and the players are like, oh, the coach is tough and things like that. And the kind of program in Cambridge is that the players from the team below can go up to the next team.
Yep.
So we get B players to go to our practices and A players to go to the AA's. So I went to the AA practice, and it's just next level, and I felt great there. And there's a female goalie coach. I've never really had a goalie coach on my hockey team.
Yeah.
So like they have their own stuff. They pass and we do the drills and like we get to do our own goalie things while like the players do the hard laps or they're doing this skating drill. It was great, and I think that's my next goal probably.
Yeah, is it Julia? That's your goalie coach there? She's
yeah,
good
I
stuff.
think so. Yeah, I think it was.
I think so. Yeah, cool. Because are you U13?
U13A.
Yeah, so it would have been Julia. Yeah, okay, cool. And then how about your brother? What's your kind of next hockey goal?
Is to probably make MD level because I'm currently like playing house league and select. I feel like I can make it. I just haven't really wanted to. I don't know why. I just felt like because of this year I didn't really want to. But I that's my next goal is to make a higher level.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a great goal, and as long as you guys are enjoying playing, I think that's the main thing. But COVID's hitting us pretty hard, and with the rinks being closed and stuff like that, it's hard to stay motivated. But yeah, you got to try and stay motivated and stay in shape, and make sure you keep setting those goals so that you have something that you want to reach for sure is important.
You know what? Like a couple weeks ago, we had all these extra practices with games, and I was out on player again.
Oh my gosh!
Like what you made me and my goalie partner do a couple years ago. Yeah, and a teammate of mine wanted to be in net, so I gave her my old pads and things, and she was in net, and I was a player for the practice.
That's awesome. Did you score any goals?
Yeah, I did. We did a shootout, so I skated in and I roofed it backhand.
Nice. That's what I like. Yeah. It's way easier to shoot with the player stick than a goalie stick. So it's probably easy for you.
And my backhand's super good because I was a lefty with my goalie stick because it's opposite. So I go backhand.
Nice little fake forehand, go backhand. I like that. Well, let me know if you ever want to come to camps as a player. You guys are more than welcome.
Oh, yeah, that'd be funny. That would be really funny. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming. Yeah.
This has been amazing. This is an amazing episode.
Hey, anytime, guys. Yeah, awesome. Well, let me know if you need anything from my end, and stay safe out there with COVID. And
you too.
We'll see you guys again soon.
All right, bye.
Okay, see you guys.
Hey, that was an amazing interview. One of my favorite parts is that how she talked about how she built her own hockey school for girls and how it was built up from the ground up and now how much it's changed and how big it's grown over the past few years.
It was really interesting to learn about Laura as a person. Since I know her as a coach, it was really cool to hear about all the interesting experiences she has had. From traveling with Team Canada to places like Switzerland and playing university hockey is all some cool things I'd like to do someday. I really love going to Laura's hockey school, and if you're a young female hockey player like me, I think you'd like it too. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I know all the shows you listen to probably say this, but please rate the podcast and download the episode. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram, that'll be in the show notes. And if you want to say hi to us, we'd love to connect with you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Curious Conversations.
Bye!